Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I made a video yesterday discussing the problems with natural bodybuilding and the expectations being there for people to get way too lean. And some people asked me, could I give percentages of what I consider to be a healthy, reasonable body fat percentage for young men. And a few people even try to chime in and say you shouldn't use percentages because percentages differ in different people's minds. Well, let's dispel that right now. Rather than let people misunderstand what different body fat percentages look like in people who have enough muscle mass that they look like they work out, I'm going to link two different ones down below. You guys can see the difference between 7%, 10%, 14%, like 20%, 25%, so on. These are actually fairly reasonable expectations of what that level of body fat should look like. Now, that being said, I do tell people if you're not genetically elite and you can't get away with it, you shouldn't be going under 10% at all if you're completely natty and not using exogenous hormones. And it's not to say that you won't suffer long-term effects from using those exogenous hormones while being having very, very low body fats like that. It's just that you can offset the health problems to some extent because you're not suffering from ultra low testosterone levels and hormone levels. Those actual low hormone levels are harmful to your health also. So the people who are putting exogenous hormones back in can avoid some of those health side effects. But of course, since the fact that they have dieted down and suppress their natural production, and they're putting an exogenous hormone in to suppress natural production, there's always a chance that those people will be on TRT for the rest of their life as a result, because you're stacking in multiple factors now that suppress your hormone levels. And so yeah, there is a price to pay there also, and that doing that might require you to need exogenous testosterone much sooner in life than most people need it, and I do think most men need it eventually. You're bringing that time frame in sooner potentially. So that isn't even a guarantee of it being safe. But as far as what I would recommend, 10% is the bottom limit for most guys, but in all honesty, for a lot of men, even maintaining 10% can be difficult. And so what I generally recommend, if your goals are just to be fit and healthy and you want to look good at the beach or the swimming pool enough to turn heads, if you have any appreciable amount of muscle mass, meaning you've been lifting for a couple years consistently and hard, if you're anywhere in the 12 to 15% body fat range, you're going to look good enough by most standards that you're going to turn heads. Odds are you're probably going to have one of the better, if not the best looking physiques at the beach or the swimming pool, unless there's a ton of bodybuilders around who are on a bunch of drugs, in which case then you're kind of screwed there. But with the upside of that being that, in all honesty, most girls aren't particularly attracted to guys who have the extreme physiques either. So if you're doing that, just want to be at a certain body fat percentage to look good, the 12 to 15% range is enough for you to have visible abs where most people who walk by are going to think that you're cut or that you're ripped. When you start hitting 10% and lower, you're actually getting to fairly extreme levels that the layperson who isn't part of the fitness community may not actually even find attractive. They might actually think you look gross. You're not necessarily doing yourself any favors in that department at that point. And the 12 to 15% is kind of an athletic sweet spot to where your blood work and your health markers are going to look really good because you're carrying enough fat that you're not so lean that you're having hormone levels crash and other problems, but you're not high enough that you're anywhere near being overweight. And doctors generally consider to be the healthy range for most men to be somewhere up around 12 to 19%. As long as you're not over 20% and you're not under about 11 or 12%, your blood work is generally going to look pretty good and your doctor's going to be happy with your health unless there's something else going on. So I think realistically for most guys out there, just for overall aesthetics purposes, to look really good to the general population, because in all honesty, if you care about what the online fitness community thinks or the bodybuilding world thinks about your physique, your health is probably going to suffer for it. Your mental health is going to suffer for it, and your physical health is going to suffer for it if you actually reach and achieve their goals for any sustained period of time. So what you would probably want to focus on rather than that, if you want to keep your health and your mental health in check, focus on what the general population thinks. And at 12 to 15% body fat, if you've got a couple years of muscle gain with that, you're going to look impressive to most people. So that's a good middle ground for most of you who are wondering. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.